All righty. Well, we're gonna give this a second to get going here because I know that Chad did not make the link this morning, so that means that we don't have as many people here because there's not the link to click on before it's live. So we'll give it
He
even
gave
an
the keys
extra.
to the children. The kids are running the show,
Oh my
even though
gosh!
I'm like 8 years older than him and like 25 years older than you.
No, absolutely. Scott, you're young at heart. You know that's what counts. But I'm gonna click out this and share it. I'm also gonna post it on Facebook as well before we're really off the ground, and hopefully we can get some eyeballs in here. But yeah, guys, it's Thursday morning. This is Broncos for breakfast, and well, we got to get our other groups in here. What's going on? Maybe that one too. There we go. Let's get it. Let's get it to it. There we go. Those are the ones you want. Early Broncos for breakfast. Nice. Well, not that early, Dakota Weiss. We're going to
Well,
be
we've only
going.
done 2 at this
Yeah,
time, so
that's going to be
this is
the.
the new bat channel, new bat hour.
Yes, exactly. Gives us a little bit more time to talk things through. Also gives me some time to get into work where I'm not having to go 40, 50 miles miles over the speed limit. So that's it's all good. I'm going to post this to one more group, and then we are going to be going because got to get the eyeballs in here.
Fenlon from Ireland.
And Scott, I never heard some post coverage from you for the Gold Cup. Thoughts there?
I was very impressed with the Gold Cup, and Berhalter gets some. Before everybody gets here, I'll talk a little Gold Cup. Berhalter gets some stick, but I think that's his level. Honestly, this was a blue collar team. The European players, for the most part, weren't there. This team looked old school, not overly talented, hardworking U.S. soccer, which might be what Berhalter excels at. When the more dynamic players, the higher quality players come back, maybe he's not the guy. But it was a fun team to watch again. As hard as they worked, and Atlanta United's Miles Robinson was just awesome. The goalie Matt Turner was terrific, and I thought Kellen Acosta. I thought those were the 3 standout players of the tournament.
Well, awesome. Let's get into it. That's good to hear. I'm glad that it seemed like a fun game.
Nice win. It probably cost Tata Martino his job. You don't lose, 2 times in a row to the U.S. as a Mexico head coach and keep your job.
Probably not. I have bragging rights over my good friend Danny. So let's get it going here. Dakota Whitehouse, early Broncos breakfast. Yeah, this expect us 7:30 going forward. U.S. Dave says yes. Say something Broncos. We'll get there, Dave. Luke.
Something Broncos.
Yeah, there you go. Nailed it. Luke Fenlon coming in from Ireland. Beautiful, beautiful country. Have you been to Ireland, Scott?
I have not. I've been to England a couple of times. I've been to France a couple of times. I've been a lot of different places, but I've not been to the motherland yet. And considering that I have a son named Sean McAllister Kennedy, I mean, he's got a 4-leaf clover birthmark on his butt. So I'm very Irish. I need to get over there.
It's a beautiful country. I was over in Ireland when I can't remember who they were playing, but it was the Euros. It would have been 2016, and they got out of group stage with a last-minute header. And I was downtown Dublin, and let me say that people were hanging out
for life.
Oh my God, it was insane.
Partying with that like that.
It was so much fun. Free beer, free Guinness for everyone. EJ coming in. Good morning, Nick and Scott in Broncos country. BX Bronco Jeudy. What time is it over here? It's 6:35 a.m. for me. Dakota Whitehouse. So yesterday it seems Teddy got more reps than Drew Lock. I think we all know that Drew will get a majority of reps tomorrow. Probably the case. Max Power saying morning, fellas. Good to see David in the house too. David. Good morning, gents. Broncos country. Hit that like button. Andrew Morrow's in the house. Morning. Good to see you, Andrew. Andrew's always super supportive. Luke Fenlon. It was against Italy. That's right. The powerhouse Italy. That was amazing. Andrew, also, good morning to you. And since the 99-cent super sticker, Andrew's always a great supporter, as is Max Power, coming in from across the pond. Hey, guys, any thoughts on Marquis Spencer? Let's put a pin in that one real quick. Let's get to the matters of business, and then we're going to come back and talk a little Marquis Spencer. So, guys, like I said, Broncos for breakfast, 6:30 a.m. every Tuesday and Thursday. We're going to be here to give you your morning fill for your morning commute while your coffee's cooling down a little bit. You're sitting down with your breakfast. Scott and I will be here to fill your morning. A little bit of Broncos talk. You guys can follow us on Twitter at HuddleUpPod and at Mile High Huddle. You can follow us both individually on Twitter also. Scott Kennedy at Scout Kennedy, and myself at Nick Kendell MHH. For everybody joining us on Facebook today, please go over and to facebook.com/Mile High Huddle, as well as facebook.com/Mile High Huddle pod. Become a supporter. If there is something that we didn't get to today that you guys are interested in talking about, get to that. Let us know. Add us on Twitter. That would be fantastic. Or on Facebook. And if you guys are joining us on Facebook today, also click those thumbs up. What are you doing? I think we got Gary Leeds Palmer. I knew it. Gary would be here with the Heart React. Good to see you, Gary. OG Epong Thames and David Schlosser also come in with a like. So I know there's more of you joining on Facebook today. Smash that like button. It's not hard. Just do it. Also, now shouting out to our YouTube listeners, please subscribe, like, and share. Season is right around the corner, and while there are many great creators of content in this small niche that is Broncos country, we want to be number one. We want to, if we're your favorite or even not your favorite, if you like what we're doing here, you want to support us, the little guys here, make sure you subscribe, like, and share our content. Also, while you're over on YouTube, go to youtube.com/C/Scott Kennedy. I'm also going to drop his link here in the chat. I'll just click that. They're all here. You guys should all be seeing them wherever you're watching the show today. And Scott, I always like to elevator pitch. What's going on the channel right now?
Just answering questions. There's a lot of people are talking about the rookies again from Senior Bowl. So a lot of the conversation that's coming through my channel is on the Senior Bowl highlights as the rookies are starting to make names for themselves again.
Heck yeah.
And I was down there for 3-4 days, shot a ton of video. There's probably 50 highlights from Senior Bowl out there. And I go in and I answer every question and every comment that, looks like it needs an answer, not just a, yo, what's up or something like that. So I'm very involved on that. So I appreciate y'all being there.
Awesome. That's great. So let's get to Max Power here with the $2 pound. I believe, not the euro, the pound. Any thoughts on Marquis Spencer? So Marquis Spencer, 6'4", 6'3", off the top of my head, 300 pounds. He was somewhat like Metelba Najim as far as his usage at Mississippi State, where it wasn't like the 3-3-5 that Arkansas was running, but he played some edge as well as interior at Mississippi State, and I believe he was a 4-star recruit. He has a big frame that I think can put on more weight with actually pretty good burst. It's just he never really put it all together there at Mississippi State, which honestly, Mississippi State, a little shout out there for interior defensive lineman potentially. Fletcher Cox, Chris Jones. I feel like there's even another one there.
There are big. We talked about him a little bit last week, and I said whenever I was scouting the Mississippi junior colleges, and you'd look along the interior lines, they would look like college, SEC players in there. Now, the hard part is getting those kids out of the junior college ranks because they're there for a reason. I said last chance you kind of shone a pretty good light on the junior college ranks, and every single player, every single one at a junior college has a skeleton in his closet, has a red flag for something. Now, talking about my point on this is there are big mobile crushers in Mississippi. A lot of them are in junior college ranks, the ones that can come out of there and can get out of the school systems and survive and make it to college, like Marquis, then is now making a nice living for himself, even if it's just as a late round draft pick. But at 6'4", 300 pounds, we talked about the 3-4. The ends in college are basically defensive tackles. They'll pinch in, they're holding the line. But still, 8.5 tackles for loss last year. His progression as he moved forward, as we would like to see for a raw player coming out of Mississippi, kept getting better. So if he continues that track, I think he got something with Spencer with the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, and something interesting about him was I think he actually came into Mississippi State as a linebacker, and now he's transitioning slowly to he was edge.
Sure he did. We want him as a linebacker. Sure you do. I hate that part of recruiting, Nick. I really did. The whole athlete. We're gonna call this guy an athlete. There's no athlete position. I'm sorry. Especially being an NFL draft guy, I'm like, who got drafted to play athlete? There is no athlete position. So it's like, oh, we want you at tight end, but we're gonna slap a 60 on you the minute you show up.
Yeah, no, he did actually put on 60 pounds, but his true freshman year, he played 12 games at linebacker, registering 17 sacks, 3 for loss, and 1 sack. So it will be interesting to see what he does. He's also got long arms, nearly 34-inch arm length, which I love for my defensive linemen. They can control multiple gaps, and they can get their hands up in the pass lane. So I'm excited about that. As far as Marquis Spencer goes, a lot of it, obviously, hearsay right now. I'm excited. He's one that I'm going to have circled and be looking for him to flash in preseason. And if he makes the 53-man roster rather than being a practice squad guy early on, that would be a big win, a for him, but also surprising considering he's a 7th-round pick at a position that typically takes 2-3 years out of college, unless you're a first-round pick, to really make a splash in the league. So
yeah, and for him, for the tools that he has and the background that he has, a year on the practice squad wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing. Now, he was a 5th-year guy. So, he's not a 22-year-old kid coming out. He's a more mature physically type of player. So, he's got a chance. You don't necessarily want him to take another red shirt where, he's now 6 years in from out of high school before he starts playing a down in the NFL. But I like the tools there, and I like the background where he's coming from. Because like you said, there's a lot, Mississippi State D-line U, there's a lot of big, fast kids that come out of the deep, deep South.
Yeah. Am I forgetting anybody else? Fletcher Cox, Chris Jones. I feel like there's another Mississippi State guy that was really impressive there for a while.
I'm probably, there's the one that I'll have to look his name back up, but there was this kid at Olive Branch that we had a 5-star, but then he got in some trouble and he kind of ate his way out of the position, and just the attitude wrecked him, which happens a lot. It happens a lot, but he was as dominant as a defensive interior defensive lineman that I ever saw. When he was at Olive Branch, Mississippi. I'll have to look and see who that was. I think he was.
Okay, well, maybe somebody in the
comment section. I'll find him because he ended up at Hargrave. He was an All-American, ended up at Hargrave, and he says, "Hey, I want to talk to him." Like, all right, whatever.
It was my favorite player in the draft.
I'm like, fine, I don't care. He's like, well, wait. He's like, why were you saying bad things about me? I said, that wasn't me, 1. And 2, the only thing I said about you is that I thought it was pretty disappointing that you laid out a practice because you said your stomach hurt, and then you won the chicken wing eating contest later that night. And all the kids around just went, whoa. I'm like, that's what I said. That was a red flag to me.
I just thought of who it was. It's Jeffrey Simmons. Okay. First round pick. I thought he was my favorite defensive tackle in that class, which was an incredible interior defensive lineman class. He dominated the Broncos last year, week 1. Jeffrey Simmons. That's who it was. I knew there's somebody. I loved Jeffrey Simmons. Broncos 17-0. Good morning, Broncos 17-0. Good to see you. Max Power saying, I've heard he's flashing at camp and talking about Marquis Spencer. Yeah, he has been, especially compared to what we saw from Agim last year. Although Agim, Sosa, McTelvin Agim has been flashing a lot. Gary Leeds Palmer with the stars here for sure. Saying hello, Nick and Scott. Just giving some love. Gary, you are definitely a lover when it comes to the stars. So we appreciate you a heck of a lot. It's great to see you. We got Facebook user here. This might be Peter, but it's because sometimes he comes in as Facebook user before it goes back to maybe.
Right.
Hello from Cambodia, Peter. Maybe. Good morning, Nick and Scott. Broncos for breakfast. Go Broncos. Also, what's up, Bronco Country? Dakota's right. Tonight is the Hall of Fame game, so that'll be great to see. Richie Rich, always good to see Richie Rich up there in the Great White North. Always love it when I can catch a Broncos for brunch. Great. We got Jake Gerard is in the house. Hey guys, do you think the joint practices with the Vikings will tell us who will more likely start the season? We just keep ramping up as far as importance for the reps and the competition that's happening. We were on 7 and 7s early on with no pads. Now we're ramping up the pads. Those reps matter more. They're more telling. They're more indicative. Now we're going to have the game or the practices against the Minnesota Vikings, who I think the Athletic ranked as the number 1 defense in the NFL this year, with the Broncos number 2. So we should really get an idea of what the Broncos offense looks like against a really good Vikings team.
We might not know for sure if it's like, hey, they really struggled against the Vikings. Yeah, who didn't? I mean, that's also relative.
Yes. I don't think the Vikings have the same level of secondary as the Broncos. So we hopefully will get an idea of the Tim Patricks, the Courtland Suttons, the Jerry Jeudy's, maybe the pass game. But I am a little worried for the Broncos offensive line. But we'll see. It sounds like the interior has been okay, but not dominant. And right tackle has just been meh. But George in the house, finally hearing when it's live.
That should be a ranking. 3 stars, 4 stars, 5 stars. Meh.
Yeah. Just not super
Actually,
impressive.
Unfortunately, with everybody going star crazy, 3 stars have turned into meh.
Yeah. Don't take away from my Iowa Hawkeyes recruiting classes every year.
My first year, we had like 154 stars. I think there's probably over 500 of them now. Like that's pretty much every Power 5 kid. I mean, it's silly.
Inflation. George coming in here. Broncos just woke up. Good to see you, George. Good to have you in here. Greg Smith is in here. Scott.
Aloha.
There we go.
My answer on that, I think you'll get an idea of who's ahead, based on who starts and who's getting the ones there. You'll get an idea who's ahead. But this quarterback battle is not going to be decided by week 1. It's not. It's going to be going on a lot. Now, you might have, I don't know how stubborn your coach is. He may, this is my guy and we're sticking with him, but I don't get that feeling or else Teddy wouldn't be there. So I think this is a quarterback battle that's going to, until someone either flat out loses the job, there's an injury, or someone elevates, this is going to be talked about all season.
Yep, absolutely. It's a long way from getting over. Gary's still in the house. He didn't want to just say hi to us. He wants to say hi to everyone else. So good morning, Broncos country. Dom's in the house. Good morning, fellas. Did you see the crazy catch Sutton made yesterday? Running back room looks killer. Can't wait, boys. Let's take back the West. We run the West. Dom, you have higher aspirations than me. I'm just like, let's make the gosh darn playoffs, because it's also because we're not playing like in the NFC East, right? Like you have the Chiefs in the division. You have the, I know we say this every year, the Chargers. Oh, well, I'll believe it when I see it with them, with the injury front especially. But let's just make the playoffs. Maybe let's not also get swept by the Chiefs. Those are the 2 goals this year. Take one, split with the Chiefs, make the playoffs. But I want to get into what he says here. Did you see the crazy catch Sutton made yesterday? So far, and this was one of the main topics we want to touch on today. So far, Sutton has been somewhat quiet in camp. You've had Vic Fangio comment on it that he hasn't, isn't fully trusting himself yet. It's different going from running routes against air to people, and a little bit of a hitch in his giddy up early on, but it was always going to take time, even though we're approaching. It was only week 2 when he got injured. Sometimes it takes not 12 months. Sometimes it takes 18 months for a guy to really get over that ACL, MCL. And I think he tore multiple ligaments in his knee. It was pretty serious. So the fact that he's doing anything, and even if he's not 100% this year, he's still going to be a really good player. But it's good to see him making some splash plays because we've grown accustomed to that with Courtland Sutton.
Nick, I had talking about the mental aspect of this and how it's so subconscious. I had the craziest thing happen to me about 10 years ago. I wrecked my bicycle. I went over my handlebars, landed on my head, scratched up my face, had my helmet and stuff. It was fine. It looked more gnarly than it was because, I had some road rash on my face, but I was okay. I got up. When the next time I went to ride my bike, I went out and I looked at it and I broke into a sweat. Like I almost blacked out. It was the weirdest. It's like, and that was hardly anything. So when you talk about the mental aspect of trying to overcome something like this, it's real and it's going to take some time. It's not just something, well, man up. No, there's a subconscious in there that your body is saying, hey, dummy, you about got your leg tore off, protect yourself until you can get enough reps in there to push that down. Yep. It's a thing. So like we said, 18 months for a complete 100% full recovery from an ACL. And the bigger you are, the less that time is before you get back to 100%. But 100% is usually it's an 18-month injury, especially as severe as his was.
I am curious, just pivoting on this a little bit, how this could impact Courtland Sutton's contract negotiation. He only has 1 year left, and he might not ever be totally 100% this year. So does that mean
it's the time where the Broncos can be offering a discount?
Yes.
And that he might consider it. Listen, I'm not sure I'm going to get back to there. They're offering me a good contract. Maybe I should take it. So if you're it is a business. Yep. If you're the Broncos, now's the time where you're offering an extension. If you think he can get to at least where he was or close to it, or if it might take a little more time, and you offer him a discount, a longer term discounted contract. And then it's up to him whether or not he wants to take that risk, because it's a risk on both sides.
Yep. Exactly my thought as well. Even if it's seems cold-hearted, you have to pay them because you don't know what Courtland Sutton will be 100% off that knee injury. As much as it's scary, a lot of guys recover, get back, but you don't know at this point, and you can only go on the latest data. So here we are. But I'm expecting a good Courtland Sutton this year. What's lucky for him is that you have Jerry Jeudy there. So Courtland Sutton doesn't have to be wide receiver one with how it sounds, how good Jerry Judy's been. Morning shift, sick ass foo. Yes, we do. And also good comment here. Jerry Jeudy is wide receiver one. He is this year. I'm hoping at some point, though, that we can get to a 1A and a 1B going on there. Dave Glassman in the house. Dang it. Sorry I'm late. Didn't get the notification. Boss Man did not make the stream last night or this morning, so I had to scramble to make one. So I can make this platform. I don't know how to send it to the however he promotes it. So I'm glad you're here now. Good to see you. Dave Glassman, yep, in the house as well. Cheers, orange heart, blue heart, and a lock. So I know where your heart lies. Miguel's in the house. Sup, fellas? And Michael's in the house. Good morning, Nick and Scott and Broncos for breakfast. Go Broncos. Michael's always super supportive on Twitter afterwards. Hitting me up on Twitter at Nick Kendell MHH. Let me know what you liked about the show.
It feels good, Michael. Appreciate
it. Yeah, it really does. I really do appreciate it. And Dakota saying the Vikings number one defense. So says the Athletic. I do think that the Vikings have one of the more underrated defenses in football. Last year they were kind of like the Broncos, where at the defensive tackle position, the Broncos at defensive or at cornerback were like the Vikings at defensive tackle. They got so many injuries that the whole integrity of the defense didn't matter that they had other talent elsewhere. They couldn't function because they were so weak at that one spot. They're getting Michael Pierce back this year. They also signed another defensive tackle. Daniel Hunter might be the most underrated edge rusher in football. They have good linebackers, good safeties. So it's a good team. Also, Mike Zimmer, one of the better defensive coaches out there. So we'll see what happens. Here we go. He says, yo, guys, get those stars in there and give Broncos for breakfast a reason to stick around. Gary, I hope we got the stars because I'm clicking all yours. I don't always see the stars. So either way, Gary, we appreciate the heck out of you. And you're a star in our eyes. Ray Osborne in the house saying, I will say preseason game 3 till we can tell who quarterback 1 will be. I mean, honestly, it might be a longer time than that. We might figure out who's quarterback 1 and it might pivot throughout the season. That's how close it is right now. And if the Broncos are struggling, you could see him shake it up. Greg Smith also coming with the aloha. There we go. Jesse in the house. I just hope Sutton get back to 100%. You and me both. Pooping Hippo. Scott, how much would you pay Locke and Sutton? Ooh,
that's a good question. I'm going to start with Sutton. While you were running through there, I was looking up the average salaries of the receivers right now, and it's the average receivers right now. The number 10 receiver, Tyler Lockett. What do you think his money is? Tyler Lockett's the 10th highest paid receiver in the NFL right now. What do you think his money is?
Oh man, 15 million a year.
17. Okay. 17. So the receivers are getting paid.
Yep.
They're getting paid extremely well. So, is Sutton the top 10 guy? He was on that track, I think, without a doubt. Is he there right now? I think you can probably expect him to be in the 10 to 20 range, maybe. Even that's a bit of a stretch. That's a bit of a risk coming off the injury.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, if you look at 10 to 20, number 20 is 12, and then 19 is Stephon Diggs at 14.4. I think that's a starting point of where you start to offer him, giving him an average, a contract right there around 15 per year average. It's going to get expensive. It is. He's young and he's cheap, but he's good, and young and good gets expensive when they start coming off of those deals. So I think 15 is probably going to be about right for him coming into his next contract. What do you think, Nick?
I think NFL contracts.
Let's take inflation out of it. The caps go up, salaries go up.
Yep.
But relatively speaking, right now,
I could see the Broncos giving him a higher base salary with lower guarantees, given the injury that he has, to give themselves an out sooner. So it might be like a 4-year contract where the guarantees are pretty much off the book come year 3 or 4 in case, he's not there anymore.
And you might not get him for that because someone will come in and offer him more guaranteed money. Right?
Yeah. But I'm saying but what does Sutton want? Is he going to bet on himself where he's like, I'm going to be playing at this level, so there's going to be no reason for them to cut me because of the higher earnings.
I don't know. When you're talking about a player like that, it only takes one team to do something crazy.
Oh, yeah. That's very true.
I think that he would get an offer of guaranteed money for what he could max out with Denver. Mm-hmm. So, I almost think it's better to go lower salary, more of it guaranteed. I think would be a better a better hook for someone like Sutton. Come with your team. Hey, listen, we want to make sure you're getting paid, but we want to put a team around you, so we can't pay you what these guys are going to pay you over here, but you're here, you're home, you're a Bronco. That would be my pitch to him. Locke, I'll give it 6 months, and I'd tell you what I'd pay him. It might be nothing.
Yeah, he's. I need to see another 2 years of data before I pay him. Honestly, maybe a year and a half. If he was like doing pretty plain top 12 quarterback money, like halfway through the 2022 season, then I'm approaching him. But quarterback money, quarterback contracts, even for just average ones, are incredibly huge. I mean, there's no better discount in football right now than a rookie quarterback contract. So like, even if Locke plays, like,
you got to build in the draft. I mean,
yep.
It's hard to get a quarterback. It's expensive to get a quarterback, and it's especially expensive to get them post draft. It doesn't happen very often.
No, I mean, you're paying Andy Dalton what, $16 million a year, something like that for 1 year.
Matt Stafford's number 12 at 27.
Gosh.
Number 20, Trevor Lawrence is at 9. Andy Dalton's at 10. And this 10. Is on average, and Bridgewater's average is 11.5.
Mm-hmm. And Drew's what, making like $3 million?
He's pretty low. So, but that's one of the reasons why the Broncos cap situation is so good.
Yep.
But it really needs to be filled with an elite quarterback. You need to be putting $25 million into the quarterback position, which would eat up a lot of that space. And right now, would you do that for either of the guys on the roster? No, that's the easiest question you'll have all day.
Unless your goal is to be picking number 1 in a few years, which hopefully not. We got Broncos 17-0 saying the morning coffee bean fund with the $20 super sticker. Man, Broncos 17-0 is very consistent. Also, I'm wondering, I think they changed the colors I've been doing this for a year and a half now. But they changed the colors for the thing. So this used to be orange. The $20, I swear to God, Tuesday night was orange. Now it's yellow. So somebody help me figure out which one is the orange one, because that's the one we're looking for. Actually, the yellow is beautiful.
Anybody that keeps me in coffee has a place in my heart. Right
Absolutely.
Here. It used to be food, but now that I'm old and put on weight by looking at food, coffee is the way to my heart.
Well, there you go. For me, it's still beer. Jesse coming in here. Tim Patrick should pick up Sutton's slack since everyone swears Tim Patrick is great. Shake my head. Well, Tim Patrick is good to great. Yeah, I think he's a B+ wide receiver. And I think that might be a really interesting conversation to have this year, because you're expecting Sutton to get back to where he was his year 2 season. But if Sutton's, let's say he's playing at 85% this year, him and Tim Patrick might be neck and neck. They might be really close to each other. And that could make it interesting as far as the contract conversation between both of them and the reps for both of them as well.
Well, here's the beauty of the roster. It's not going to all fall on one guy.
Yeah.
KJ Hamler should pick up some of that slack. Noah Fant picked some of it up last year. He should improve. Jerry Jeudy should elevate this year. So all of those guys getting Sutton back is it's not a make or break, I don't think, for this team. But it would be awesome. It's a bonus for him to come back strong. But there's enough weapons there that if he doesn't come back, you're not totally hosed in the passing game, for goodness sakes. More important to this passing game is what happens at the quarterback position than at the receiver position, because there's receivers all over the place.
Yep, absolutely. Richie Rich coming here. Well, let's go back to the defensive line, because they've actually been doing pretty well. And I know Richie Rich has been not screaming, but talking loudly about the interior defensive line getting more interior pressure. You and I both. I was there more so there about entering the 2019 draft. Where there was all those incredible interior defensive linemen, like give me Dexter Lawrence, give me Jeffrey Simmons, give me Ed Oliver, give me Quinnen Williams, give me. I want one of those guys with Bradley Chubb, play a little inside-outside game, and Von Miller. But we got Draymond Jones, and he's been killing it. So Richie Rich, sticking with the D-line, if we have newer draft picks who are looking good, and some of the guys we want to do well who are just looking okay, who do you think wins, makes the roster? Well, I think at that point, if you have it's close, you need to be looking at long term. So who do you have the most years of control with, and who do you project being better longer down the road? I think you need to take the long scope, because while this team is looking to win this year, Peyton is trying to think the health of the roster, not just in 2021, but 2022, 2023, 2024, etc. So if you have two players who are neck and neck, one has 1 year left on his deal and one is a rookie who has 4 years, you're taking the rookie. It's pretty easy, I think, in that case.
Yeah, young and if all things are equal, young and cheap is going to win.
Yep.
That's just how it is.
And that's true beyond football.
That's life.
Yep.
Old and expensive is a tough way to be unless you're still elite.
Tom Brady.
And even then it's close.
Yeah. A big floppy lock coming in here saying this, the way Sutton has been running around, it doesn't look good. A little patience there, right? It's even if we haven't seen it yet, a little patience and some patience here also. So much hate, facepalm for Drew. The thing is, you don't want to be a team. The Bengals a few years ago, they were making playoffs after playoffs after playoffs under Andy Dalton as a rookie quarterback, and then they paid Andy Dalton, and everything went to poop. And that's not what you want, right? Like if Andy Dalton was a fine quarterback on his rookie contract, they're able to build an elite roster around him. But then he ate up 20% of their cap, and they just couldn't keep sustaining what they were doing. And right now, you have a really good roster around Drew Lock, but he's making pennies, and he hasn't shown enough yet to be a guy where you're considering paying him a second contract, because they need to be that like top 12, top 10 level of quarterback, for me at least, in order to sink in that level of capital into them. Otherwise, I'd rather go back to the well and risk continuing quarterback purgatory in that regard versus being stuck on a guy and that quarterback not being it, on top of not being able to build a strong roster around the quarterback.
Well, and Lord Deer, the topic got started when I was asked, how much would you pay Sutton and Locke? And Locke right now, you wouldn't. You would wait. There's no rush. So right now you wouldn't. If he was, if the contract deadline day was tomorrow, you'd have a decision to make, but it's not. No you've got this entire season to start making that choice. If it was right now, he'd be walking. I'd let him go. Instead of resigning, unless he took a team-friendly deal, hey, you're probably going to be back up, but I'm going to be looking for your replacement pretty much every day. So that was about right now. But the wait and see approach, absolutely. Some wait and see what this year is going to do before I'm going to make any kind of decision on the future of Drew Lock.
Yep. There's no rush. And he needs to play better. He will play better this year. But what if he's, an Andy Dalton level quarterback or Ryan Tannehill, right? Like that's probably more likely than him turning into.
That's Patrick okay. Mahomes. Ryan Tannehill had a fantastic year in the right system last year.
I misspoke. I meant Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Okay. But just don't pay him like he's a top 5 guy.
Yeah.
Listen, if you can get top 5 money from somebody else, more power to you. I'll take my comp pick and I'll take my chances with another quarterback. I'll bring in somebody who's looking for a job that is on your same level of talent. He's going to come in here and be a star, and maybe I get him paid too.
Yep.
That's when you're the offensive coordinator. You say, I want, and the quarterback's coach say, I want 10% of every new contract that these guys sign when they leave us.
Yeah, absolutely. Brock Osweiler, another one. Sometimes it's smarter not to play guys. Lord Deere saying, of course he does. But as Ben said, let's see it before we condemn him. We're going to find out this year. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Nope. All we can go on is what we have so far. Otherwise, we are projecting, which I know is part of this this business as well. We're trying to project and predict the future. But we got time. We have 2 years of control left. And this roster, outside of the right tackle position, is about as excuse-proof as possible. Now, if you want to point fingers at Pat Shurmur and his scheme, I won't stop you. But every single quarterback can have reasons for excuses, but you're never going to have a perfect roster. It's never going to be a perfect situation. You got to be able to overcome that adversity to be a good quarterback. So that's how it is in the league.
And Nick, you were right about that 2019 draft. There's some difference makers in that group.
That was the best interior defensive line group I've ever scouted.
Up and down the line. So I look, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look who's at the top. Then I'm going to find whoever the Falcons draft, and it just puts tears in my eyes. It really does. Nothing wrong with Chris Lindstrom, but he's a guard at number 14. Yeah. At least it wasn't Dwayne Haskins at 15. I would have remembered that one. Dwayne Haskins was not a first-round guy. But Dexter Lawrence, Jeffrey Simmons, Noah Fant, all these guys that went after, and it's just why a guard? Your defensive line needs help. Yeah. So good times.
Yeah. I gotta say, though, I do appreciate Thomas Dimitroff, the person, because going to the combine, he's pretty obvious and the spectacled individual, and spoke with him for about half an hour just about analytics and team building and Grady Jarrett. We bonded over our love of Grady Jarrett, so I
Well,
appreciated
they
Thomas.
got Grady Jarrett in the 5th round. They
Yeah.
blind staggered Luck into that one. I mean,
Yes.
that was nice scouting. Don't get me wrong; they still had to draft him,
Yeah.
but you know, let's see, what's 5 times 30, 150 times he was passed over before they got him. So that was
Yep.
that was fortunate. That was a fortunate. Now, to be fair, when he actually went defense, the picks were pretty good. Vic Beasley was a bit of a reach, but he had one monster season. We talk about what's one season worth to you. He had a season that got the Falcons a Super Bowl, about 16 sacks in 2016. I think he only had 30 in his career, but he had 16 that year. Deion Jones, damn good linebacker. Keanu Neal, safety, really good. Those are guys in other places. But, I appreciate the fact with teams that build in the lines of scrimmage. And that was something the Falcons never did. So you look up and down the Broncos lines and the front seven and the defensive line. If you're a little short on players, go to a 3-4. Where is the strength in your team right now? The linebacker position. There's guys, we talked a lot of Jonathan Cooper last week and his size. Like, well, why didn't he go higher? Well, he played a true defensive end. He's 6'3", 255 pounds. Well, he's playing edge. He's playing some OLB for the Broncos, right?
Yep. He also had a heart condition that had multiple surgeries that knocked him down. Also, Andre Mintz is been flashing in camp as well. So the Broncos have some maybe not starting quality edge players there, but you need depth. You need a rotation of guys at the pass rush position. And if you can have them cheap and young, that's the way to be. Jess C coming in. Can we honestly make the playoffs with Teddy? And how fast do you give Drew the hook if he's the starter week 1? Number 1 is yes. The Jaguars a few years ago went all the way to the AFC Championship game and were very close with the likes of Blake Bortles as their gosh darn starting quarterback. The Chicago Bears had the best record in football with Mitch Trubisky as their starting quarterback. So while we hammer how important it is and it's a quarterback-driven league, you can, to a certain extent, win games and be competitive as long as your quarterback's not killing you with turnovers. And he just glides. He knows that he's a talented roster. Get the ball the right time, protect the football, play to the strength of the roster.
One of my favorite lines that I ever read, Nick, I think it was from Rick Riley when he used to write the back cover of Sports Illustrated. You might not be old enough to remember what magazines are. But he was talking about Rex Grossman leading the Bears to the Super Bowl. And the line was, coming into the Super Bowl, Rex Grossman was thought of as the worst quarterback to ever lead a team into the Super Bowl. And he failed to live up to that. So it's with a great quarterback, it's a little easier to sustain. It's a little easier to recruit free agents and that type of stuff. But there's more than one way to skin a cat. And the way this defense is set up with the weapons at receiver, I mean, you're going to hold guys down and wait for a big play. It's great pitching and one home run hitter. So it's with a steady play from quarterback position, get out of the 30s and even into the high teens. There's a playoff team. I'm convinced.
Yep, absolutely. It is a tough field to till because of the talent in the AFC West and the AFC in general. I think I'd name outside of Tampa Bay. I'd probably name. There's a massive drop off after Tampa Bay and Green Bay, in my opinion, in the talents in the NFC West, where you probably have 8 teams not the NFC West, just the NFC. And then you probably have about 8 to 10 teams in the AFC that could be arguably the 3rd best team in the NFC, in my opinion, this year. That's just how the league is stacking up. But we'll see. And how fast do you give Drew the hook if he's the starter week 1? Well, it's a question where we need all the data. Like, is he looking like, Jake Locker out there? That's a different question. But I probably
when he gets the hook, it could be. Then you're making a change. Now, does that mean he's done for the year? No, but it depends on Drew. If Drew's the starter, it will depend on Drew.
Yeah, this is a tough question because there's a little bit of psychology involved here. I think Drew is pretty fragile right now when it comes to the ego, and I would give him if I do name him the starter. Although it's hard because these coaches are coaching for their playoff life or their life in general. But I'd like to give them multiple games.
There's also nothing wrong with giving a guy a series off. Right?
Yeah.
You see that happen. Say, listen, you just threw 2 interceptions on back-to-back plays. Teddy, go in and take a series. Drew, calm down.
Yep.
Then go back in. We believe in you.
You see that more with college.
This quarterback battle, I've said it before, I'll say it again, is going to go on all year.
Yep.
It just is. Neither one of these guys, unless Drew takes that monumental leap to the status that you want him to be, he hasn't shown that yet. To go from 30 to 10, which is a leap of faith, then neither one of these guys are good enough to lay claim to this job for the entire season. That's my opinion.
Yep. You have 2 quarterbacks who are good enough to start in the league and will be around in the league for a long time. I don't know if either are ever going to be franchise quality arms. And that's...
But look at the way these quarterbacks keep getting recycled. If you can just prove to be not I happen to see Broncos 17-0 comment on least favorite quarterback. As long as you're not a complete a-hole and you can hang around the league for a long time, you can hang around the league for a long time if you know how to do your job.
Yep. Exactly. And there's a lot to be said about that. We are talking, it's the standards that you're talking about here. Like, are Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater terrible quarterbacks? No, they're probably 2 of the top 40 quarterbacks in football this year, and the Broncos have 2 of them, which is good. It's not like we're sitting here watching Trevor Siemian versus Paxton Lynch versus Mark Sanchez. Thank God. But although shout out to Trevor Siemian, 7th round pick, probably never should have been in that situation and was forced to because Broncos just didn't go out and get a quarterback quality. We're talking about what's a good enough quarterback to have a real chance to win a Super Bowl. And that's a different threshold than like a guy who's good enough to be a spot starter or a journeyman. So we'll see, though. Drew, only 2nd year in the league. He's still got a lot of talent. He's got to get better under pressure. He's got to get better getting off his first read. But that's what this year's going to be about, figuring out Drew. And if you can't beat out Teddy, given how some people view Teddy Bridgewater, that's probably your sign. Tom coming in here. I'm not going to try to. Okay, I'm going to try your last name. Pazipanka. Hopefully I nailed that. If not, please let me know. Give me the phonetic. If you have a hard name, give me the phonetic one. Because if you guys are going to comment, I want to be respectful enough to get it right.
I'm going with the long O on that. Well, I don't know. Tom P.
Tommy P.
I always like the line Susan Sarandon had in Bull Durham. So, honey, you need a nickname. Eddie Calvin Lelouch. Tom, nailed it. Good job.
Good job, Tom. Love watching this every day. I wait for it to pop up while I'm at work. Can't wait to see Jeudy and what are the predictions for him this season. Scott, I'll give you the floor there because I do have some thoughts on Jeudy as far as a production standpoint.
Well, last year, 52 catches for 856 yards. That's a really good average. Big play guy. So let's see, what are the predictions for him this season? Maybe come down a little bit on average, have his catch percentage go up. 100 plus targets is still good, but he's going to have more than 56 catches. So, I think target that many times, that number goes from 56 to 75, 20 extra catches, extra 250 yards, 300 yards maybe. So he should be knocking on the door of 1,000. There's going to be a lot of footballs to be thrown around. There's going to be a lot of receivers to spread it around this year, hopefully. But if he's more efficient, but when you're making big plays like that, your efficiency goes down. The higher the average, usually the lower the completion percentage on your targets. So just more consistency, more comfort level for him.
Yep.
He's catching the balls he's supposed to catch. That if he does that, you're going to see a big leap for Jerry Jeudy.
We do have historical trends to go off of as well for the wide receiver position. And normally year 1 to year 2, you see the biggest jump of any player in their year or in their career for a wide receiver. So I'm expecting Jerry Jeudy to be quite impressive this season as long as he can stay healthy. The only thing that is going to hold him back is it's not Jerry Jeudy, it's the situation around him. You have Courtland Sutton, you have Tim Patrick, you have Noah Fant. There's only one football. Also, the way it sounds, the way the coaches have talked about this, also the people covering down at camp, it sounds like this is going to be very much a run-oriented team. They're going to run the ball more than the average offense, which, again, means that there's less balls to go around. So while Jeudy might be that wide receiver 1, it's not going to be a Brandon Marshall situation where like he's the only really great wide receiver on this team and he's getting 20-plus targets a game. I don't think that's going to be the case with Jeudy this season. But I'd rather him get less targets and be more efficient per target than pepper him with a bunch of, 3 to 5 yard completions.
Well, and so still to see the big plays, but again, efficient's the word we both used. So his completion percentage should go up. Overall, he had decent numbers last year. It's just when you look at a 46 catch percentage, that's way low, way low.
Yeah.
That number should skyrocket. It should go up a ton.
Absolutely. Hopefully. I really try to avoid those Broncos in my fantasy drafts, but I might be trying to get buy low in Jeudy this year because I won't probably be in.
No. Curse other teams. You draft the guys you want to lose. I stack my roster with Saints every year.
I will say I won probably $1,000 that 2013 season because I drafted a bunch of Broncos and Noshawn Marino and Eric Decker and Julius Thomas. Won me some serious money. C. Finnan coming in here saying, hello, I'm a newbie Broncos fan here from the UK. I've always watched NFL, but never had my heart on one club living here in the United Kingdom. But the Broncos seem to grow on me watching History DVD's Learning Club. Nice. Well, C. Finnan, that's awesome. Make sure you head over to Denver at some point. Colorado is gorgeous, especially in the fall. If you can get there and the aspens are turning and the elk are bugling and like Estes Park, Rocky Mountain National Park, probably no better place on earth. Beautiful. And good to have you here. It's also great to have you not just in Broncos country, but here with Mile High Huddle this morning, here at Broncos for breakfast. So we appreciate you, C. Finnan. Welcome.
C. Finnan, who's your football team? That's what I'm interested in. Anytime we get somebody from across the pond, I'm interested in who their football team is as well. So throw that in the context.
Tom coming in here. How will the Broncos do against the Giants week 1? Any prediction? I will be at the game. Well, the Giants are a team that's almost like the Spider-Man pointing meme with the Broncos, third-year quarterback that they're not sure about, really invested in the defense this year, pretty solid roster outside the questions at the quarterback position. We just don't know yet. But the Giants seem to be a team that's somewhat unraveling now. They've had multiple people retire recently. They had the big brawl. Some talk of Joe Judge maybe losing the team. So I think the Broncos are going to win this one. I think it'll be close, but early on, just top of the head, I'm going to say Broncos 24-20. Low-scoring game. Team with the least amount of turnovers wins.
I like Denver in this one. What have the Giants done to get better? They were 6-10 last year. Were they eaten up with injuries like the Broncos were? All those type of things that all the reasons we talk about why the Broncos should be better this year. Players coming back from injuries, second year in the system, better experience from the quarterback, new quarterback coming in to raise the floor. All those things, all those reasons. Can we apply any of this to the New York Giants?
Yeah.
I don't know. And so I like Denver in week 1.
Yeah, I do too. But I think these are two of the most evenly matched teams in football this upcoming year. Big Floppy Lock saying, did I hear someone badmouth Pro Bowler Trevor Siemian? Kind of like Scott said earlier with the 4 stars being devalued, with how many players are opting out of the Pro Bowl and not wanting to be involved anymore. The Pro Bowl does not carry the same weight as it used to. Now, still, shout out to Trevor for being a Pro Bowl alternate after half the AFC opted out. But that's don't put that much weight into it. Honestly, if you don't make the All-Pro, that's fine. And also contracts talk. I think Trevor Siemian's a third string somewhere right now, but still, he saved us from a year of having to watch Paxton Lynch. So I will be forever grateful for that because that was already rough enough. I mean, you talk about the Vic, who was it? Vic Beasley having that killer year. The reason he had like 10 sacks against the Broncos that season against Ty Sombrello, which thank you very much for the draft pick for taking Ty Sombrello off our hands, Scott. And Paxton Lynch, not a great combo there.
Yeah, when you're, I think you're a little extra salty today. I like we're getting close. Nick's fired up. Pads have come on, and he's not holding back anymore. I've enjoyed the dialogue today. Nick's fired up.
I've had 2 cups of coffee, so I'm feeling it. Yeah, Tuesday I was dead to the world. Also, my internet was going in and out, which was frustrating me. But today I'm feeling it. I'm feeling good. Also feeling good. Robert Caslow in the house. What's up, Broncos Maniacs? Awesome to see.
And Big Floppy Lock, I'm pretty sure Nick knew that you were joking.
Oh, yeah.
He just, there's certain topics that just kind of eat at you. If we want to start talking soccer and you mention Willian to me, even if you're joking, you want to wind me up, that'll do it. And Finnan mentioned he was a Bayern Munich fan, so good. That's a good club to support. And welcome to the NFL. Welcome to Denver Broncos. You'll learn a lot watching the Mile High Huddle crowd.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the reason I went off that the deep end there for also I didn't see a Jeudy face, did I? Trevor Siemian. Oh, there it is. Okay, I got you. It was because years and years of combating people saying the Broncos don't need to improve the quarterback position. Look, Trevor Siemian was a Pro Bowler. I don't care. I have two eyes, and they say enough on that front. But he was I agree, and this is the nuance we needed too. Good morning to you, Jeremy. Trevor Siemian was a success story. I don't care what anyone says. In the context of a 7th round quarterback draft pick, absolutely. From the context of a quality starting quarterback, no. And I put more fault on the Broncos for being in a position where they had to play him versus Trevor Siemian himself.
Well, and here's how I might say it is Trevor Siemian, just listening to y'all, Trevor Siemian might have been a success story for Trevor Siemian, not necessarily for the Denver Broncos.
Yep.
If you're coming out of the 7th rounder and you end up in the Pro Bowl, that's a story I want to read about the person, not necessarily, could you have done better as a team?
Yep. Absolutely. Tommy P coming in here. I've been to Colorado in the summer of the last 2 years, and I've had to make a stop at the stadium, and of course hiking as well. Ooh, Tom, you said the magic word for me. What trails have you been on? And also a Bayern Munich fan. So Scott and I are both Chelsea fans. So Scott's much more hardcore. I'm much more casual. I'll tune in for the big matchups and enjoy myself there. But I want to get to some more topics here with camp. And I think the big one that I really want to get to is Garett Bolles. He is somebody who has been around the ringer as far as the fan base goes. He had obviously first round pick, 20th overall. A lot of people were excited about the pick because the Broncos have needed a tackle for a while. But he disappointed early. A lot of holding penalties, a lot of dumb mistakes. Also, some people coming off a little bit nonchalant about some things. However, last year, and I would even argue post Browns game 2019, something clicked with Garett Bolles. And thank God for Mike Munchak for that. But something clicked with Garett Bolles. He was really good the second half 2 years ago, and also the majority of last season. And he's been dominating in camp so far, apparently. Now, you made a good point before the show talking about this. It's a zero-sum game. Is he dominating, or are the Broncos edge rushers not doing great? That's very much we won't know until we know. We'll get a better idea going against the Vikings this week. But Garett Bolles has been dominating so far. Everything's been easy for him. I don't know if he's gotten beaten once, both in the when the whole offensive line is out there and the one-on-ones, which for offensive linemen, one-on-ones are extremely difficult because you typically don't give defensive pass rushers a two-way go on both sides. You typically have some help. If you're in the interior, help on both sides. So he's been dominating. He's taken a step forward. Von Miller talking to him about him being the best left tackle in football. I don't know about that, but left tackle, the Broncos maybe have one that's going to be here for the next 10 years. And I don't say that tongue in cheek. I know he was drafted as a 25-year-old, but offensive lineman, I mean, look at Andrew Whitworth right now, still a top 10 left tackle, and he's almost 40 years old. So Garett Bolles, Scott, thoughts there? Are you excited about him, or what's
here? Just look at his profile, okay, and his age. If you've got talent, physical ability, frame, feet, strength, all that kind of stuff. He's 29 years old now. That is ideal. He's entering his prime, and the prime for the offensive linemen like that are going to be 28 to 35 years old, and he's entering his prime now. And it sounds like he's truly, playing to that level. So we like to throw guys under the bus way too early. Not everybody develops at the same level, especially at different positions. It develops at the same time. And 4 years in the league, yeah, we've waited a long time. This guy's a bust. And he might not have been a bust, but might not have been worthy of a first-round pick, especially when you have guys like us looking at who went just below him, and you start thinking, man, we could have had. But as a 29-year-old OL with the right mindset and maturity, he's entering his prime. And it sounds like you're getting the guy you thought you took 5 years ago.
Yep, absolutely. Greg Smith, Hall of Fame games tonight. Not a fan of either team, just glad football's back. I will not be tuning in as much as I love football. My parents are flying, and I haven't seen them in a year, so going to be catching up with them, which will be great. And X23 coming in here. Bolles was pissed yesterday after the red zone pick. It does sound like Bolles is becoming more of a vocal leader on this team, which you have to have a little bit of street cred before you can become that guy in the locker room. Bolles has first round pick, so he has that going for him. He honestly, Bolles' journey, he's going to be a Denver Bronco story someday. Kicked out of his house early on. Somebody else took him in, went to community college as defensive tackle, went to left tackle, became the number 1 junior college tackle in football, went to Utah only 1 year, first round pick. Not very good his first 2 years. Always had the athleticism, the talent, and the body frame. And now he's turned into one of the best left tackles in football. And the Broncos got him on a freaking bargain, too. That's another thing. Taylor Moton, that contract compared to Bolles, night and day, man.
I just looked at him, and his cap hit right now is $5 million. What?
Yeah. It bumps up a lot, but
that's really nice. And you hit on the catchphrases I wanted to when we started talking about. And X23 says Bolles was pissed yesterday after the red zone pick. You've got a young quarterback who struggled last year, and you've got a newcomer in Teddy Bridgewater who is more about building guys up than being pissed. You need the dog out there too, and having 6'5", 300 pounds of a left tackle who's playing like that to get after guys, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect for what this team needs.
Yep. And Jeremy, good point here. Exactly what we're talking about. Garett is turning into a leader. Proud of that dude. Got too much heat from the fans. I'll take a hold once a game over getting a quarterback hit. Absolutely. The thing about the holds that were frustrating is a lot of them were because of poor technique early on. But there were some fans out there, all caps on fans. And if you're in Denver country, you know what I'm talking about, that were a little bit probably unrealistic with their expectations of Bolles early on. But he was always going to be a little bit of a project, and he's turned out to it's clicked and it's worked out for him. So that's been great. I'm excited about him. And Robert says the only offensive line member who is solid. I would disagree with the word solid. He's the only offensive lineman that they have that is great. But I would say Reisner and Glasgow are by definition solid as well. So center and right tackle, we're fixing to find out. But Peter's in the house. Good to see you, Peter. See who Bolles picked to be on the desert island with him? No, I didn't, Peter. You're gonna have to let us know on who that was. There's a comment here I wanted to get to from here. Oh, big floppy lock again. Killing me with the name. Do you think that Garett Bolles is better than Ryan Clady? I'm gonna go with no. Ryan Clady was incredible out of the gate. He was the best pass protector in football there for a little bit. Him and Joe Thomas neck and neck. And I am still extremely disheartened that that Liz Frank injury that Clady suffered in 2013 pretty much zapped his career, because he still had another probably 5 to 10 years left of great football. He was incredible, Scott. Ryan Clady was absolutely a dominant left tackle.
Yeah, for a long time. But who did he pick to be on the desert island with? Now you got me, interested.
Yeah. Yep. And Jeremy's saying Clady was on the Hall of Fame path. Yeah, somebody let us know.
One of the questions, there was a question here. There was a question here that said, do left tackles typically dominate early? The truly special ones do. Tony Pacelli's, Orlando Pace, Jonathan Ogden. Otherwise, it can take a little bit, because as we've said before, this is a grown man position. Maybe the best offensive tackle prospect I can remember scouting coming out of high school was Tyron Smith. And he was 245 pounds as a senior in high school. Goes to USC, plays as a freshman, was okay. Second year, getting a little bigger, he's okay. Third year, he was all Pac-12 and the first offensive lineman taken in the draft. And he was his first years with the Cowboys, okay. From year 3 on, he's a Pro Bowler, first team All-Pro. So, it takes a little time. The strength of these players cannot be underestimated. Quickness comes early. I say skill players are born, linemen are built. It takes a little more time for most of these guys when they're playing in the trenches with grown men.
Absolutely. I agree with you. And also there's some specifics with Bolles given his history. Also, the thing about offensive linemen, it's kind of like, I guess, quarterback to a certain extent, where like the tools are super important and that can determine how great you're going to be in the league. But there is a technical side of it that if you don't have, you're going to get eaten up in the NFL. Athleticism can only take you so far.
Yeah, and at what point are these guys ever facing in college anybody to the same level that they're going to see in the pros? The guys,
Not really.
Any pro is going to be first team all conference. Pretty much any starting defensive end is going to be first team all conference in college. So
Yeah.
the level of speed and strength and guile that these guys face the second they get into a pro camp is higher than anything they've seen. I don't care where they're from. That includes Alabama. It takes some time. Now, like I said, the truly special ones, and I could name 3 of those off the top of my head in 30 years. They hit the ground running, but those are rare. Those are rare, just like any position.
I do want to give a caveat here because I will probably explode if I don't mention him in this conversation. But Tristan Wirfs was worthy of an All-Pro last year as a rookie right tackle, and I think he was only 21 years old, and he has a chance to be the best tackle in football. Probably he was like one of the best athletes ever recorded at the NFL Combine. I think he broke the record for the vert and the not the broad jump as well. So Tristan Wirfs, absolute maniac. Gotta love that kid. Met him a few times at Iowa. Also, just like the nicest, most genuine, outgoing kid ever. He's amazing with
kids. Out of this draft class at offensive tackle. I'm gonna follow him like a stalker, Spencer Brown. After I gassed him up for 2 months. So, just speaking of physical freaks, but coming out of I've already forgotten Northern Iowa.
Yep.
Just maybe behind technically some. So again, it takes a little time.
Yep. I mentioned this to you last time, but I reached out to some of my connections in the scouting community, and there's another offensive tackle at Northern Iowa that people think will go higher than Spencer Brown did. So not as athletically talented, but much more of a natural mover in pass protection.
And any success, because coaches are usually pretty chicken scared.
Yeah.
They don't want to be the first to do anything. Because then when you step away, when you go away from the book, then you set yourself up for scrutiny.
Mm-hmm.
So the more success that Ellerson Smith and Spencer Brown have out of Northern Iowa in their first year is only going to do more to help the next guy coming from there. It's safe to take an Alabama guy, super safe. You know what you're getting. There's a track record there. But stepping outside of the box just a little bit, coaches don't always like to do that. So if Spencer Brown and Ellerson Smith can have some success in their first year, the guy you're speaking of will get a bump from that.
And Northern Iowa's put in some talent in the NFL. David Johnson, Kurt Warner, Brandon Meester as well. So there's some bodies there. We got Anthony coming in here, Anthony Bomber. I never gave up on Bolles. It was obvious he had the talent with the time needed to develop. Why I won't give up on Drew. He was drafting knowing he needs time to develop. I don't think that's a 1-for-1, given how different the positions are. And the data that we know about the quarterback position historically, after year 2, you know what your quarterback's going to be, that they probably set their career norms, versus offensive tackle. Typically, it takes 3 years because of the physical growth curve for the position versus quarterback. Also, Garett Bolles played 1 year of Pac-12 football versus 50 starts in the SEC for Drew Lock. So I don't think it's a 1-for-1, but if you want to hold that candle for Drew Lock because he did so for Bolles, more power to you. I held the candle for Bolles and pushed back against it. And I even argued, I didn't expect Bolles to get to this level. But it's hard to find tackles in this league. Garett Bolles, as what he was making as an average tackle, that's fine. He didn't have to be the best tackle in football. He just had to be good enough, considering how hard it is to find tackles. I know you're kind of going through that right now, or the Falcons have been going through that. I mean, Jake Matthews didn't live up to the 5th overall pick, but it was better than Luke Jokel, and he made a big contract. He's fine, but still, it's hard to find tackles.
Yeah, but I still wanted Penei Sewell in that number 4 spot to come in and upgrade that position at number 4. Now, going back, it was obvious he had the talent with time to develop, so why I won't give up on Drew? And the other reason why is 18 starts. There's no reason to give up on Drew Lock after 18 starts. And mentions 50 starts in the SEC, 50 starts in Missouri, but it's apples and oranges. The problem that I think Nick sees is he sees a lot of the same mistakes at Missouri that he sees now with Denver. And when you're continuing to make those same mistakes, then it becomes a little bit of a worry. But after 18 starts in the NFL, this is the year. This is a make or break year for Drew Lock. Now you should know what you're going to get. Full camp. I'm going to call this second full season starting. I don't care that you got a few games in 19. This is a make or break year, flat out.
Yep. And I will say it's probably a little unfair to Drew, but when you have Justin Herbert coming in with no camp, or because of what's going on in the world, as a rookie with, I'm not even going to mince words here, the worst offensive line in football last year, just absolutely trash. And he sets the all-time rookie passing records, not even playing a full season. Your threshold might be a little different when you have that on top of Patrick Mahomes in the division. So is that fair? I don't know, but this isn't a fair world, and that's the reality of the Broncos division, who they have to get better on. So looking back at the article, some people say Drew is 3 years away, and here we all are.
It's time.
Yep, here
It's
we are.
time.
So, and if he doesn't win right now, then here we are. And, oh my gosh, Ophir, it's been a while, buddy. How you doing? Hello, boys. Sorry for not being in the chat for a while. Been browsing other podcasts. I feel cheated on.
Oh man. Welcome back, Ophir. It's good to have you back.
Man, just in time when we're about to get on out of here. Last question I have, or last one we have here, unless any other super chats come in. Patrick Surtain, there's some conversation right now about expectations for him year one, especially against tight ends. Are you worried about his body type and size against tight ends, making that transition from boundary cornerback at Alabama to more maybe some? I mean, they've even talked about creating a somewhat new position for him this season to get him on there, to work more dime, and to get him in there for football teams. On the field.
So am I worried about his body type and positioning as tight ends? Not in coverage, not in how he's going to be used. No way. In coverage, I love his body type and style of play and all of that stuff for coverage and tight ends. I don't want him on the line of scrimmage taking on tight ends in the run game. No way. That's not what he's there for. So, excuse me. In coverage, absolutely. 6'2", 35 plus inch vertical leap. I love him. I don't want him banging heads on the line of scrimmage with tight ends, and I don't think he's gonna.
And we got Peter coming with some stars. Reisner leading the line too might help out with Bolles and the center. Ooh, Peter, I know you're not from the U.S. with the way you spelled center there, but that's a good one. And also Cushenberry taking a step forward. Cushenberry was a good leader at LSU. He needed some time to work. That's another position year one, especially not top 50 pick. You might get a little bit of time there. And sending some stars. That's of course, and as you deserve it. Also, somebody asked earlier, what schools have a good offensive lineman that you can depend on day one? I think of 3 schools off the top of my head right now, one of them being Iowa. Kirk Ferentz people have been trying to pluck Kirk Ferentz from the college ranks to the NFL for a long time for his offensive line prowess. He was offensive line coach with Bill Belichick of the Browns early on. So that's one school. Wisconsin is another, develops great offensive linemen year after year. And the other one I would say is Alabama. Are there any other ones off the top of your?
Mine were Alabama, Iowa, Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame Kelly has had a left tackle chosen like 5 consecutive times, going back like 15 years. That's incredible.
Yes, absolutely.
In the first round, not just chosen, but in the first round. I don't think his guy got there this year. I don't remember his name, but he didn't fall too far. So Notre Dame does a pretty good job with that as well. But the beauty of the offensive line, you guys hear me say it all the time, that the development amongst the bigger players takes longer. You can find really good players away from the bigger schools because you get a guy that's 6'5", 240 pounds. Nobody took a look at him because he was a 5 flat 40, and then he leaves college at 6'6", 310 pounds and still moves like a 5 flat tight end. Now that's an offensive lineman. So I'll say it one more time before we get out of here, but skill players are born. And linemen are built. It just takes a little more time. Yeah,
absolutely. And Lord Deer, I'm one of those people who cannot let something go if something is incorrect. And you say
called me obsessive. I don't know why.
Oh my gosh. But Herbert was playing prevent defenses all day. That helps pad his stats. We have data. For garbage time stats. And let me pull it up here real quick. I found the graphic, of course. And this should send you guys a quiver down your spine a little bit. But here we are. I don't know if you guys can see.
Look at this, the spider chart going on here.
Yeah,
that looks like my range there. I'm all over the place when I'm at the range.
So the x-axis here, which if you guys aren't math nerds like myself, the bottom one is x-axis, and this says non-garbage time quarterbacks EPA per drop, and the left is garbage time EPA per drop. So this comment that Herbert was eating up because of prevent defenses, he was actually weirdly very one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL last year in garbage time. But in non-garbage time, he was either the 3rd or 4th best quarterback in the NFL. And here's Patrick Mahomes way over here, who was absolutely just incredible in non-garbage time and actually average in garbage time. So I don't know what this says for the Broncos. But the fact that these guys were both 2 of the best quarterbacks in football in non-garbage time, I think it worries me a little bit. Maybe it's just a small sample size, so we'll see. But had to get it. had to get it on there because the math is for sissies. Sorry, and yeah, Nick is a data guy. Yep, sorry guys. I knew that we had I knew I had that data somewhere and I'd seen it. But that's why we're here, man. We want to figure out what's going on and to inform you guys as best as possible. Faulty, bad narratives. Sometimes we'll spout some, but you guys correct us, and hopefully we can correct you, and we can all learn and grow together. That's what makes this community great. But speaking of,
and like Nick said earlier, it's not just about the numbers. I know what my eyes tell me also, and sometimes it's nice to have the numbers to back that up. But when you know, and Herbert had a good season last year. There's no two ways about it.
Yep. The number with Herbert that does stand to make it, him a regression candidate is his ability under pressure. Last year, he was far and away the best quarterback under pressure in football. Drew Lock was actually the worst quarterback in football under pressure. But those are numbers, yes, historically, year to year tend to fluctuate greatly. So if you are on an extreme of that data set, you'll tend to go closer to the median after that. So or the wherever the the line. I'm blanking right now.
Middle mean.
Yep.
Middle mode.
So there'll be some regression there for that, and that's a positive for Drew Lock, and Herbert should probably regress a little bit that way. So we'll see. But guys, shout out to the community. Before we even get to the matters of business, Andrew Morrow, Max Powers, Gary Leeds Palmer, Broncos 17-0, Anthony Bomber, Peter Middleton, all of you guys, incredible. Thank you so much for supporting us today with stars and stickers and super chats. You guys are incredible, and you're keeping the lights on in here for us. I obviously starting at the 7:30 time. Wasn't sure how that was going to go. Also wasn't sure how the morning show is going to go, but I've been having so much fun every Tuesday and Thursday morning. Shout out to Scott for that as well. Yeah, you guys in sending the stars actually and the super chats make this possible, that we can keep this going, because we early on threw this out to Chad, but we weren't sure how sustainable this model would be. Would people want to come join in the morning? Obviously the views matter a lot, but when also people are showing their support financially, it makes it far more likely that we're going to stick around. So thank you guys so much.
You said it all. So it's time to say goodbye.
Guys, Broncos for breakfast every Tuesday and Thursday morning. You can follow Scott and myself on Twitter, Scott at Scout Kennedy, and myself at Nick Kendell.
Lord Deer's coming back in again, so we got a moment.
Okay. Lord Deer. Speaking of north of the border here, super sticker, Canadian $7. Thank you very much, Lord Deer. Hope that's great.
Enjoyed your contributions. And Stoney says, I don't know if that was for the comments, but if you hear what Nick said those are numbers that fluctuate a lot. So yeah, last year was the worst, but should be better this year. Herbert was the best, should come down. So that'll be something interesting to watch on. And as we've always said, it's like, I want to see numbers. I enjoy numbers. I want as much information as possible. I want to see numbers, then I want to know why. I want to see what I see what I see. Now I want to see numbers to back up. Okay, this is what I'm seeing, but why? What's going on?
Yep.
So neither one of us are going to make any blind decisions based on strict data or strictly on just the eye test. We want as much information as possible, and then we want to pass that on to you. So we appreciate you being here.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know how bad the offensive line was last year for the Broncos. I'd say they were closer to league average, but we're going to find out this year. We're going to find out this camp, honestly, everything with Drew Lock there. So hoping for the best, right? That's all you can do. Best case for the Broncos, Drew Lock's the guy, and I'm pulling for that. You guys can follow us also on Twitter at HuddleUpPod and at Mile High Huddle. If you guys are joining us on Facebook today, first off, click those thumbs up. We really appreciate that. If you can hit those thumbs up, smash that like button, as we like to say. We got the hearts coming in here. Ooh, a good amount of hearts here. Steven Tobacco, Ken Booker, Dom Harmilo, Edison De Dios, Dave Glassman, Greg Smith, Gary Leeds Palmer, Peter Middleton, Stephen Lazowski, Kalen Green, Carlos Blancas, Claude Riley coming in here also. So thank you everybody who hit the thumbs up. We appreciate you if you are joining us on Facebook today. Also go to facebook.com/Mile High Huddle, become a supporter, or also facebook.com/Mile High Huddle pod. If you guys are joining us on YouTube today, please click the thumbs up, subscribe, like, and share. And also YouTube folks, make sure you go to Scott's channel, youtube.com/Scott Kennedy. /C/Scott Kennedy. Excuse me for the podcast listeners out there. I'm trying to do multiple things at once and pull up this one as well. Go to his page. Scott's got some Senior Bowl stuff that's killing it right now. You guys can check it out because it's once again relevant. And I'm excited to see how Scott's channel grows. The goal, guys, if you haven't followed Scott's channel yet, click that link. We're trying to get him to 1,000 subscribers before the start of the season. So we got to be getting close. But Scott, any final thoughts before we get on out of here?
No, what we didn't talk about, we wanted to hit on Quinn Miners a little bit, and he's kind of doing exactly what we expected, but it's helping to elevate Cushenberry's game, but maybe not ready for prime time at center, which is a tough position to come in as a rookie from a Division III school when you've never played it. So not too much there. Jerry Jeudy, looking for him to continue to elevating and maybe be the guy this year, and then I'm interested in seeing again, as always, the linebackers. I want to see Chubb and Von Miller going, and yeah, let's look forward to tonight to some football Hall of Fame game.
Absolutely. Well, everyone stay safe. We appreciate everyone for joining in today, and we will see you all next Tuesday. But until then, love y'all. Go Broncos.